Hello, this is Corey the Keyblade Wielder. We are back for another commentary. Disney vs. non-Disney Villains Part 2, Round 3. First fight is Anastasia from Disney's Cinderella versus Ramesses. Description is Dr. Facilier tells Anastasia where her mom, Lady Tremaine, and her sister, Trizilla, are at, and he reveals that they are in Egypt being slaves or being Kent Mansley's maids. And Facilier gives Anastasia the wand of the fairy godmother that Lady Tremaine was using. She travels to Egypt. And of course, Ramesses is not impressed. It's like, a stick. And Anastasia uses the magic to the 10 plagues. He's like, again with the 10 plagues? Don't I have enough? Yeah, even though it's kind of blasphemy in a way, but it's not meant to be blasphemy. It's meant to be fictional. It's no big deal. And Ramesses decided to free Lady Tremaine and Trizilla now. Can't take it anymore. Next fight, Soroush from Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 versus Valmont and his men. And the description is that Soroush travels to England with his circus performers to King Ratcliffe. And Governor Ratcliffe decides to give Soroush guards to help him, and I'm not gonna go ranting on this. I already made a big rant on it on the round 2 commentary. I'm sorry, but it's just, I just really do not like this villain. I do not like the movie. I mean, there's just so many reasons to hate the Disney straight-to-DVD sequels. I mean, the animation's horrible, the plots are forced, the villains are mediocre, and one of the first lessons from the first films are either disrespected or utterly destroyed. Like, one of the reasons I hate Hunchback 2 is because one of the ideas of Hunchback 1 is that Quasimodo did not need to be beautiful to be loved. He didn't need love in that sense. He just needed to be accepted by society. That makes sense. But then the second one comes in like, oh no, Quasimodo needs to find a girlfriend if he wants to be happy. It did bug me. Eating pizza. Wait a minute. Hold on, not yet. There, I mean, when I saw this, I'm like, I was surprised that you guys are using the Jackie Chan adventure villains, because I have not seen that show since I was a child, and I was happy that you guys are using them. It's from Jackie Chan Adventures. It's a cartoon series which is about Jackie Chan, you know, the martial artist. It's where he goes on to adventures fighting like 12 talismans before the Dark Hands, that's the names, the Dark Hands, to find them to free the demon sorcerer named Shendu, who is like a dragon. It's really cool, and I love this show, and looks like Valmont sees that Soroush has a talisman, and it's seriously good to see the Jackie Chan adventure villains in there, and it was a good show. It has good villains, it has good characters, it has good story. It's a really good show, plus it has its own mythos to it. I love shows that have their own mythos into it. I was rooting for Valmont and his men to win. Sorry, just sort of watching. But yeah, still awesome to see the Jackie Chan adventure villains there, and Hunchback 2 can run for all I care. And Valmont wins, sort of. Now that they got the talisman from Farouk. And next fight, Dr. Severius from Disney's Gargoyles, the series, versus Dr. Stockman from the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Severius, fearing that his reputation is now into Dr. Drakens, and Xanatos decides to send him to face off against Dr. Stockman, who's creating, like, Coyote for Xanatos. Well, I guess Dr. Stockman is a double agent. One thing I agree with History Buff here is that Dr. Stockman is, whenever he does intimidate, he acts like he's intimidating, but whenever something goes wrong, he cries and whines like a baby. Dude, just grow up, will ya? I'd rather have Severius over Stockman any day. And it looks like they're both running away because the lab explodes. Next fighter. Odin from Disney's Atlantis Milo's Return versus the Snow Queen. And description that Hades and Dr. Phasalia have recruited Odin to take out the Snow Queen because she might be a major threat. And, yeah, I wonder why they care that she might be a threat to Shane Yu. I mean, have they ever met? And even though I've already made a rant on the Disney sequels, I also despise Milo's Return, but at the same time, I do kind of forgive it for being a bad movie. Okay, here's the thing. He's not really Odin. He's a man known as Eric Hellstrom. Eric Hellstrom, he's basically like a rivalry to... well, I got the name right here. Let me just get it. What was his name again? Really should. Really? There. Preston B. Whitmore. Yeah, he was a rival to Preston B. Whitmore, who was the guy, the professor who gave Milo the book, which was also given to his grandfather. Yeah, he was a rival to Professor Whitmore, and he lost all of his fame and glory. But he's also, like, obsessed with, like, Norse mythology, and he lost all his fame and glory somehow. I haven't seen that sequel in a while, but I'm not really into watching it because, again, I hate Disney sequels. But I will say he's a decent villain, and when he lost all his fame, he went insane. He lost his home or whatever. He went really insane and actually started to believe that he is Odin. Yeah, that's what he is. I'm just gonna say Eric Hellstrom versus the Snow Queen, and instead of calling him Odin, because that's who he is, Eric Hellstrom, even though he believes he is Odin. He took the Spear of Atlantis, which he thought is his own Odin spear. That's what he thought. Like, he even thought Milo was Loki, and he thought Kida was Sif, who was, like, Odin's daughter or something like that. Kind of makes you wonder, what does Eric Hellstrom, who believes himself as Odin, thought Hades and Phasalia are? Because if anyone who's an expert in Norse mythology, let me know. Because in Norse mythology, there's, like, two heavens. Asgard and Valhalla. Yeah, those two separate things. And the real reason why Atlantis Milo's Return is bad is because it was never meant to be a movie. It was meant to be a TV show that was originally going to air on Disney Channel, which you already know how I feel about Disney Channel, that it's stupid. It's part of the bad stuff. But they were expecting the movie to win so they could make an entire series of it, but it did not do so well. So the problem is that they abandoned it, but they only made 3 episodes of Atlantis series, so they took all the 3 episodes of the aborted TV show and made it into a straight-to-DVD sequel. Which was pretty stupid, of course. I mean, but Eric Hellstrom is a pretty decent villain, and if they just actually make a movie where this guy is like the actual main antagonist, that would have saved the movie to be decent. And Herrick is arrived at the fortress of the Snow Queen. Huh. Not much to say after I gave the whole dialogue. Whoa. Eric Hellstrom is pretty epic for a villain from a bad sequel. Eric Hellstrom wins, and next fight, Macbeth versus the Baroness and Destro. The Baroness and Destro decided to launch an attack on Xanatos Enterprises, and Owen picked Macbeth for the job to fight them off. Oh yeah, I also forgot, Macbeth is also from Disney's Gargoyles, the series. I haven't read most of the Shakespeare story. I know of the whole concept of Romeo and Juliet, and I know of Macbeth from Gargoyles, and I know of the Midsummer Night's Dream. I also read it. It's a pretty good story. Looks like Macbeth has destroyed the missile. Okay, that's kind of sweet that he went back for her. And Macbeth wins in the next fight. The Fearsome Five from Disney's Darkwing Duck the series versus the Gang Green Gang from the Powerpuff Girls. And the description is that Negaduck decides to take over the criminal empire now that Cruella de Vil and Medusa lost. And the Gang Green Gang feels threatened of this and they decide to go get help from Hades. How did they find the portal to the underworld? Seriously, how did they found the entrance to the underworld? Huh, interesting. Hades decides to give them superpowers. I've already explained in part 2, round 1, that I'm not a fan of the Powerpuff Girls. I mean, I'm not a fan of the show. I mean, I think the main reason why is because I don't like the animation style. I'm just not, okay? I just never got into Powerpuff Girls. I'm not a fan of the animation style. And the Darkwing Duck, to me, it's okay. The reason it's not my favorite because it's basically... Darkwing Duck is a parody of Batman. Darkwing Duck is a spoof of Batman. Bushwood is a parody of Poison Ivy. Quackerjack is a parody of the Joker. I'm not sure what Liquidator is supposed to be the parody of, but... Megavolt? What parody of a Batman villain is supposed to be? I guess Negaduck is supposed to be like the parody of, you know, the evil clone of Superman or something. And the Gang wins. Next fight up. The Beagle Boys from every single Mickey Mouse cartoons versus the Schlepper brothers from Rock and Rule. Maleficent is tasking Pete to get the supercomputer now that Mock's gone, they believe. But Pete sends the Beagle Boys to go get it instead. Like, either that he just trusts them or he's just too lazy to get it. Like, I want you boys to go out to do my job, my own dirty work, while I go watch some YouTube videos. Or, well, I'll go watch some random cat videos and stuff. Like, seriously? And the Beagle Boys arrive to fight out, and they're faced off against the Schlepper brothers, who are gone in, like, the computer, I guess. Yeah, kind of funny. You got the fight of the identical twin brothers, or the identical brothers fights. of interesting. What makes sense these two would fight? I mean, those 6 brothers to fight, because they're very identical. Well, they're 3 are the brothers and the other 3 are brothers. And it looks like the Schlipper brothers win. Huh. Okay, in the epilogue, hold on. Baxter Stockman is having a talk with Oroku Saki.
With your continued funding, the research can continue immediately. You must pay the price for failure, Dr. Stockman. No, where are you taking me? You'll regret this.
Oh, God. And Valmont brings the talisman to Shendu. And Eric Hellstrom recruits his own alliance. And his alliance are... I thought, oh great, Eric Hellstrom's gonna get an alliance. Like I said, I don't care for most Disney straight-to-DVD sequels. But Eric Hellstrom, I will admit, he's pretty decent. And his alliance are Devimon from Digimon. Plus, it reminds me, I forgot to mention about in round 4, I think, with Chernobog and the Nightmare King, that I learned from History Buff that both Manwu and 73 Windman weren't originally going to use anime villains, which I can understand why not many people like anime. But he did point out that Little Nemo actually is anime, because it was made from Japan. Plus, I think History Buff just keeps begging for one anime villain, so they pick Devimon. Interesting choice. Are we going to see other Digimon villains? And who are the other alliance? Hecate from Disney's Hercules the series. I'll explain to you about that later. Odin from... it's kind of funny. You got the guy who thinks he's Odin, that's Eric Hellstrom, and now you got the Odin who is like the sage from Heavy Metal 2000. And... dang it, I forgot the dude's name. He was from Jackie Chan Adventures. And Eris gives the book to Sekko Khan to free Aku from Samurai Jack. I have not seen Samurai Jack, but it does look like a really good cartoon. And Mach returns to his base and aligns with Forte. And resurrects Professor Screw Eyes and Hollywood. Pretty cool. And Lady Tremaine returns to Moonscar Island to gather an army of zombies. Whoa. Cool. So yeah, that was Disney versus non-Disney villains part 2, round 3, and pretty decent commentary I think I did. So yeah, this is Corey the Keyblade wielder. May your heart be your guiding key. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe.